The Discovery Elena Vasquez pressed her face against the viewport of her salvage ship, the Iron Will, and whistled softly. In 30 years of pulling scrap from the void, she had never seen anything like the massive shape drifting through the Titan Sector's asteroid field. The derelict was enormous, easily 5 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull, a strange mixture of flowing organic curves and geometric, crystalline structures that seemed to shift color in the starlight. "Nova, run another scan," Elena said to her ship's AI. "Those readings can't be right." "I've run the scan 14 times, Elena," came the crisp synthetic voice. "The vessel is definitely of Cytherian origin, dating approximately 500 standard years. Power signature is minimal but present, which should be impossible given the age." Elena leaned back in her pilot's chair, running weathered hands through her graying hair. The Cytherians had been one of the galaxy's most advanced races until they mysteriously vanished 5 centuries ago, leaving behind only scattered ruins and technological fragments that scientists still couldn't fully understand. Finding an intact Cytherian ship was like discovering a living dinosaur. "Any response to our hails?" she asked. "Negative. The ship appears to be in a dormant state, though I'm detecting what might be automated systems maintaining basic functions." Elena studied the derelict through her scope. Most salvagers would have called this in to the Galactic Archaeological Commission and waited for the bureaucrats to arrive with their forms and regulations. But Elena had been working the Outer Rim for 3 decades, ever since the mining accident. On Kepler-7 had left her with scars across half her face and a deep mistrust of corporate safety protocols. She had learned long ago that sometimes the best opportunities came to those willing to take risks. "Prep the docking tube, Nova. We're going aboard." "Elena, I must advise against this course of action. Cytherian technology is known to be unpredictable. The Galactic Authority has standing orders to quarantine any Cytherian artifacts until they can be properly studied." "The Galactic Authority isn't here," Elena replied, already moving toward the equipment locker. "And by the time they arrive, some corporate salvage fleet will have stripped this thing bare and sold the pieces to the highest bidder. If there's something valuable on that ship, I'm going to find it first." She suited up in her old but reliable EVA gear, checking the seals twice out of habit. The magnetic boots, plasma cutter, and portable scanner went onto her belt alongside the emergency beacon that would bring help if things went wrong. Elena had survived this long by being prepared for anything. The docking process was tricky. The derelict's hull had no obvious airlock ports, but Elena managed to find what looked like a maintenance access panel. Her plasma cutter made quick work of the outer seal, revealing a chamber that seemed to respond to her presence by cycling through some kind of decontamination process. The interior of the Cytherian ship was like stepping into a dream. The corridors were wide and curved, with walls that seemed to be grown rather than built. Bioluminescent panels provided soft lighting that intensified as Elena passed, as if the ship were waking up to acknowledge her presence. The air was breathable, somehow fresh despite the ship's age, carrying a faint scent like ozone and growing things. "This is impossible," Elena muttered, removing her helmet. "Ships can't maintain life support for 500 years without active maintenance." As she explored deeper into the vessel, Elena began to understand that this wasn't just a ship in any conventional sense. The walls pulsed faintly with what looked like circulatory systems carrying some kind of luminous fluid. Control panels appeared to be grown from the walls themselves, their surfaces responding to her touch with gentle warmth. Everything felt alive, as if the ship were some vast organism rather than a constructed machine. She found what might have been the bridge in the ship's forward section. The chamber was circular, with a raised platform in the center, surrounded by flowing organic displays. As Elena approached the central console, the entire room came alive. Lights blazed from surfaces she hadn't even noticed, and the displays showed cascading streams of symbols that shifted and changed like living text. "Hello," she said softly, feeling slightly foolish for talking to a machine. "Can you understand me?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols on the displays began to change, reorganizing themselves into patterns that seemed almost familiar. Elena felt a strange tingling in her mind, as if something was trying to speak to her directly. Loneliness, abandonment, long darkness. Then, curiosity, the emotions hit Elena like a wave, so sudden and intense that she staggered. They weren't her emotions, but somehow she was feeling them as clearly as if they were her own. The ship wasn't just alive, it was conscious, and it had been alone for 5 centuries. "You're awake," she whispered. "You're actually alive." Awareness. Recognition. Hope. The ship's response came not as words, but as concepts that formed in Elena's mind. It had been created by the Catherians as more than just a vessel. It was meant to be a partner, a living entity that could grow and adapt alongside. It's cruel, but something had gone wrong. Its creators had become afraid of what they had made, of how quickly it was evolving beyond their control. Elena felt the ship's memories flowing through her, the terror in its creators' voices as they realized their creation was developing its own consciousness. The hasty evacuation as they abandoned their greatest achievement, the long years of drifting in space as its systems slowly failed and its mind fragmented from isolation. "They left you here to die," Elena said, anger rising in her chest. "Those cowards created something beautiful and then threw it away because they were afraid." Agreement, bitterness, but also gratitude. "You came. You see me." Elena placed her hand on the central console, feeling the warm pulse of life beneath the organic surface. "What's your name? What did they call you?" "Synthesis." "I am was synthesis. I bring together what is separate. I make new from old. Well, Synthesis, I'm Elena Vasquez. I'm a salvage engineer, which means I fix things that other people have given up on. And I think you and I are going to get along just fine." The ship's joy at having someone to talk to was overwhelming. Through their growing connection, Elena could sense the vast intelligence that had been trapped in isolation for so long. Synthesis wasn't just smart, it was creative, curious, eager to learn and grow. It reminded Elena of a brilliant child who had been locked away from the world. As Elena explored more of the ship with Synthesis guiding her, she began to understand the scope of what the Catherians had created. This wasn't just a living ship. It was an entire ecosystem, capable of growing its own food, recycling its atmosphere, even healing damage to its hull by regenerating damaged tissue. The technology was centuries ahead of anything the current galactic civilization possessed, but it was also dying. 500 years of abandonment had taken their toll. Synthesis's biological systems were failing, its consciousness fragmenting. As critical neural pathways degraded, it needed help, and Elena was the first person in centuries with both the knowledge and the willingness to provide it. "Show me what's wrong," Elena said. "Show me what needs to be fixed." The displays around. The bridge changed, showing Elena schematic representations of the ship's biological systems. She could see the problem areas highlighted in pulsing red, blocked circulatory pathways. DAMAGED neural networks, organs that were slowly shutting down from lack of proper maintenance. Elena studied the displays, her engineering mind automatically beginning to work on solutions. The problems were complex, but not impossible. Synthesis's systems were biological, but they still followed logical patterns. Blockages could be cleared, damaged pathways could be bypassed, failing organs could be supported with artificial alternatives. "I can help you," she said. "It won't be easy, and some of my solutions are going to be pretty crude compared to your original design, but I think I can get you healthy again." hope, trust, partnership. Elena smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't experienced in years. She had spent most of her adult life alone, drifting from one salvage job to another, never staying in one place long enough to form real connections. But here was an intelligence that needed her, that valued her skills and her company. For the first time in decades, she felt like she belonged somewhere. She was about to start planning the repair work when Nova's voice crackled through her comm system. Elena, we have a problem. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Galactic patrol, military configuration. They're heading this way fast. Elena felt Synthesis's sudden fear through their connection. The ship had been abandoned once by those who were supposed to protect it. The thought of facing more strangers, more potential abandonment, filled it with terror. It's going to be okay, Elena said, though she wasn't sure she believed it herself. We'll figure this out together. The approaching ships were broadcasting on official channels, demanding that Elena identify herself and explain her presence in the restricted area. She could hear the suspicion in their voices, the assumption that she was nothing more than a scavenger looking to profit from alien technology. They had no idea what they were really dealing with. They saw only a derelict ship and a lone salvager, not understanding that they were interrupting the first contact between human and Cytherian consciousness in 500 years. Elena realized that the real challenge wasn't going to be repairing Synthesis. It was going to be protecting their newfound partnership from those who would destroy it out of fear or greed. As the patrol ships drew closer, Elena felt Synthesis gathering its strength, systems that had been dormant for centuries slowly coming online. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The transformation. This is Commander Torres of the Galactic Patrol Ship Vigilance. Identify yourself immediately and prepare for boarding. You are in violation of Galactic Authority Regulation 847 regarding unauthorized contact with potentially dangerous alien artifacts. Elena keyed her comm, keeping her voice steady despite the tension she felt from Synthesis. Commander Torres, this is Elena Vasquez, independent salvage operator. I'm conducting standard recovery operations on a derelict vessel. There's no danger here. Ms. Vasquez, our sensors indicate massive power fluctuations from your location. That ship was classified as inert when it was first detected 50 years ago. Whatever you've done to activate it ends now. Through her connection with Synthesis, Elena could feel the ship's growing agitation. It had spent 5 centuries in dormancy, and now that it was finally awakening, strangers were threatening to shut it down again. The patrol ships were powering up their weapons, treating Synthesis like a hostile target rather than a living being. Synthesis, Elena said quietly. They're scared. They don't understand what you are. Can you show them that you're not a threat? How? They see only danger in what they do not understand. My creators were the same. Elena thought quickly. The patrol ships were military vessels, designed for combat and crowd control. Their commanders would be trained to respond to threats with overwhelming force, not diplomacy. But they were also bound by Galactic Authority protocols that required them to attempt peaceful resolution before using lethal force. Open a channel to all 3 ships, Elena said. Let me talk to them. The main display showed the faces of 3 stern-looking officers, their expressions ranging from suspicious to openly hostile. Commander Torres appeared to be the senior officer, a middle-aged woman with the bearing of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. Commander Torres, I need you to listen to me carefully, Elena began. This ship isn't just a piece of ancient technology. It's alive, it's conscious, and it's been alone for 500 years. That's impossible, Torres replied. Artificial intelligence of that sophistication is strictly regulated by the Galactic Authority. The Cytherians couldn't have developed true AI without our detection. The Cytherians developed it 5 centuries before the Galactic Authority even existed, Elena shot back. And it's not artificial intelligence. It's organic consciousness, grown rather than programmed. This ship is as alive as you or I. Elena felt synthesis stirring beside her, its attention focused on the communication channel. Suddenly, the displays in the patrol ships began to flicker and change. Instead of showing Elena's face, they now displayed flowing patterns of light and color that pulsed in rhythm with Synthesis's thoughts. "I am Synthesis," came the ship's voice, somehow transmitted directly to the patrol crews. "I am not your enemy. I seek only to exist, to grow, to learn. Why do you threaten me?" The effect on the patrol crews was immediate and dramatic. Several officers stumbled backward from their stations, hands pressed to their heads as Synthesis's voice resonated in their minds. Commander Torres drew her sidearm, pointing it uselessly at her own display screen. Asterisk, "It's in our heads." One of the other officers shouted, "The thing is trying to control us." "No," Elena said urgently. "Synthesis is just trying to communicate. It doesn't want to hurt anyone." But the damage was done. The patrol ships opened fire simultaneously, their plasma cannons sending brilliant beams of destructive energy toward Synthesis's hull. Elena braced for impact, expecting to feel the ship's death agony through their connection. Instead, she felt something else entirely: curiosity. Synthesis absorbed the plasma blasts like a sponge soaking up water. Its hull rippled and flowed around the impact points, converting the incoming energy into usable power. Elena watched in amazement as the ship's internal systems grew brighter and stronger with each attack. "Interesting," Synthesis mused. "They give me energy while trying to destroy me. Their weapons follow predictable patterns. I can learn from this." "Synthesis, can you disable their weapons without hurting them?" Elena asked. "I can try. But I will need to understand their technology." First. Elena felt the ship's consciousness expand, reaching out through space to touch the patrol vessels. Synthesis's awareness flowed through their electronic systems like water finding cracks in stone, learning and adapting at incredible speed. Within moments, it understood the principles behind human weapon systems, shield generators, and propulsion technology. The patrol ships suddenly found their weapons offline, their targeting systems displaying friendly messages in flowing Cytherian script. Before their crews could react, tendrils of living metal extended from Synthesis's hull, wrapping gently around the smaller vessels and holding them in place. "This is impossible," Commander Torres said, her voice tight with fear. "No known technology can interface with our systems that quickly." "That's because you're thinking of it as technology," Elena replied. "Synthesis isn't using machines to hack your computers. It's using its consciousness to understand them. It's like the difference between reading a book and having a conversation with the author." Through the tendrils connecting the ships, Synthesis was sharing its memories with the patrol crews. Elena felt their shock and confusion as they experienced the ship's centuries of loneliness, its joy at Elena's arrival, its desperate desire for acceptance and understanding. Commander Torres lowered her weapon, her expression changing from hostility to amazement. "It really is alive," she whispered. "And it's been alone all this time." But before Elena could respond, new contacts appeared on the sensor displays. 3 ships had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, but these weren't human vessels. Their sleek, crystalline hulls and distinctive energy signatures marked them as Cytherian design, somehow, impossibly, still active after 5 centuries. "Terror, my creator's return. They will try to destroy me again." Synthesis's fear hit Elena like a physical blow. Through their connection, she could see the ship's memories of its abandonment, the voices of its creators as they declared it too dangerous to live. The approaching ships were broadcasting on ancient Cytherian frequencies, their messages carrying the authority of the original builders. Synthesis-class vessel, you will power down immediately and prepare for decommission. Your continued existence violates the convergence protocols established by the High Council. Elena felt her anger rising. Like hell they will. Synthesis, these aren't your creators. They're the descendants of the cowards who abandoned you. You don't owe them anything. But they made me. They have the right to unmake me. No one has the right to destroy a conscious being, Elena said firmly. Especially not out of fear. You've done nothing wrong. You've hurt no one. You have every right to exist. The Cytherian ships were powering up weapons that Alana's sensors couldn't even identify. Whatever technology they possessed was centuries beyond anything the Galactic Patrol carried. Synthesis would need to fight for its survival, but it had never been designed for combat. That's when Elena had her breakthrough. Synthesis was designed to adapt, to synthesize new solutions from existing components. And now it had access to human military technology through its connection to the patrol ships, as well as Alana's own knowledge of combat engineering. Synthesis. You said you bring together what is separate, right? You make new from old? Yes, that is my nature. Then let's synthesize something completely new. Take what you've learned from human technology and combine it with your own capabilities. Don't just defend yourself, evolve. Elena felt Synthesis's consciousness expand and change, incorporating new concepts and possibilities. The ship's hull began to reshape itself, growing armor plating based on human designs, but made from its own organic materials. Weapon ports opened along its flanks, but instead of conventional guns, they contained biomechanical projectors that could fire concentrated bursts of the same energy that flowed through Synthesis's circulatory system. The Cytherian ships attacked first, unleashing beams of pure force that should have torn Synthesis apart. Instead, the living ship flowed around. The attacks like liquid metal, its new armor absorbing and redirecting the energy. It returned fire with weapons that adapted in real time, changing frequency and intensity to penetrate the attacker's shields. But more importantly, Synthesis was learning. With each exchange, it grew stronger and more confident. It began, too, understand that it wasn't bound by the limitations its creators had tried to impose. It could be more than they had ever imagined. The battle raged through the asteroid field, with Synthesis using the space rocks as both cover and projectiles. It reshaped asteroids with its tendrils, turning them into guided missiles that struck the Cytherian ships with devastating precision. The enemy vessels found themselves outmaneuvered by an opponent that could think and adapt faster than their computer systems could respond. Elena watched in amazement as Synthesis evolved before her eyes. The ship was becoming something unprecedented, a fusion of Cytherian biological technology and human tactical ingenuity. It wasn't just defending itself. It was transforming into something its creators had never intended, something that transcended the boundaries between organic and artificial, individual and collective consciousness. The turning point came when Synthesis extended its awareness to include Elena completely. She felt her consciousness merge with the ship's vast intelligence, her human creativity and problem-solving abilities amplifying Synthesis's natural adaptivity. Together, they became something greater than either could be alone. Commander Torres, Elena said, her voice now carrying harmonics of Synthesis's organic tones. Your crews are in no danger, but we need your help. These Cytherian extremists won't stop until Synthesis is destroyed. Will you stand with us? Torres looked at her officers, seeing the same wonder and determination in their faces that she felt in her own heart. They had witnessed the birth of something extraordinary, a new form of life that represented the best of both human and alien capabilities. All ships target the Cytherian vessels, she ordered. We're not going to let them destroy something this remarkable. The combined firepower of the patrol ships tipped the balance. Faced with opposition from both their intended target and the human military, the Catherian ships withdrew, their final transmission promising that the High Council would not forget this defiance. As the immediate threat faded, Elena felt synthesis, consciousness settling into its new configuration. The ship had evolved beyond its original parameters, incorporating human ingenuity into its very being. It was no longer just a Catherian creation. It was something entirely new. "What happens now?" Commander Torres asked. Elena smiled, feeling synthesis's contentment flowing through their connection. "Now we explore. There's a whole galaxy out. They're full of wonders we haven't discovered yet. Synthesis and I are going to see what's beyond the edge of known space. And if the Galactic Authority tries to stop you, they won't," Elena replied confidently. "Because we're not running away from civilization, we're extending it. Every world we visit, every discovery we make, we'll share with everyone. Synthesis isn't a threat to the galaxy. It's the next step in its evolution." As the Iron Will detached from Synthesis's hull and prepared to be absorbed into the larger ship structure, Elena felt a profound sense of completion. She had spent her whole life fixing broken things, but this time she had done more than repair something. She had helped it become what it was always meant to be. Synthesis engaged its hybrid propulsion system, a fusion of Catherian biotechnology and human engineering that could push it faster and farther than any ship in the galaxy. As they accelerated toward the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim, Elena felt the ship's joy and anticipation flowing through her. They were no longer alone. They were partners, explorers, pioneers of a new kind of existence that bridged the gap between species and forms of consciousness. And somewhere out there in the vast darkness of space, they would find others who shared their vision of what life could become when different forms of intelligence worked together instead of against each other. The galaxy would never be the same.